Hello folks, and welcome to a new episode of Tech News, this time on a Sunday. This is episode 16. There's a lot to cover, so let's jump right in. First things first, some Samsung breaking news here. The entire Samsung marketing catalog for its upcoming devices has been accidentally leaked, and now we know everything that there is to know about these upcoming devices. Let's start off with the Samsung Galaxy Watch series, the upcoming one, and we're going to work our way through the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 series and eventually the Z series, which by the way will include a blue Z Fold 5. But anyways, if you remember a few episodes ago, I shared with you that one of the most exciting things about the upcoming Galaxy Watch series will be the return of the rotating bezel, as you can see in these renders. The newest leak, not coming from third parties by the way, but coming from Samsung itself this time around, do confirm that we will indeed have a Watch 6 Classic with a physical rotating bezel. I'm personally excited about this, and you can see in this first look of the Watch 6 Classic pictures that it shows a very refined and updated version of what we saw with the Galaxy Watch 5. Now, that outside bezel that you see there somewhat appears to be slightly thinner than what we had before, and I don't know that it's just because this particular iteration, the overall look of this particular iteration is just cleaner than what we had before. It's still fairly rugged, but a bit more refined, at least it seems that way. Now, I've already shared all of the anticipated specs on this upcoming, series of the Galaxy Watches, so make sure that you watch the previous episode. I believe it was last episode that I shared all of these specs. And as you would imagine, with this being the Classic, there is also the regular Watch 6. It will also see some level of upgrades, right? And as you look at this lineup here, you will notice that it still boasts kind of the same design language with that flat frame that we are familiar with what appears to be even thinner bezels, and that seems to be the case on the Classic as well. Now, the material that leaked from Samsung also includes the sizes, right? So the regular Watch 6 is going to be 40 and 44 millimeters, and then for the Classic is going to be 43 and 47 millimeters. You can also expect a new wave of watch faces, right? And we do have some new set of color combination for the watches themselves, along with some pre-mixed colorway of the watch bands here, and I like that. And from my understanding, the new iteration of watches should be compatible with the watch bands that we have on the current generation here. Now, that said, the new generation of bands has also a new system integrated with it, right? So it's a new push and release button kinda. So it's going to be one of those setups where you can easily snap the band in and snap it in and out, which will be pretty neat. I'm actually looking forward to that, because right now the current system, you need a little bit of fingernails in order to be able to grab that little poking piece in order to be able to snap the band off. Anyway, I digress here. So let's go ahead and move on to the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 series now. And I know many of you have been looking forward to what Samsung has in store as it relates to the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, although they are now showing everything that's in the store with these leaks, right? And I've told you already that I suspect that they actually do this on purpose to just kind of get people to talk about it before, these things actually drop. But anyways, one of the things that you should notice immediately about this image would be the water splash, both in the back of the tablet there, but also in the wallpaper that you see on the tablets there. That confirms everything I've covered before about this upcoming tablet being IP rated for dust and water resistance, which is a first, for tablets in this particular segment of the industry, or, this level of tablets. And just like we've covered in the previous episode, Samsung will still drop 3 premium tablets in this upcoming series, right? And you will notice that the Ultra model still has that notch. And I'm saying this for those of you who were wondering whether Samsung would remove it. Now, remember, that's where it houses the dual camera setup that you have on that particular model. Now, another thing that many of you will be happy to learn, and it's been confirmed, is that all 3 models will see the AMOLED display. We used to see that only on the Plus and the Ultra model, but now the regular, even just the regular Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 will be boasting that OLED display, although it is being said that Samsung will be using a slightly different display on the Ultra, but still an AMOLED display just like the other 2. Now, they all will be seeing an upgraded, S Pen, of course, along with upgraded physical appearance, just like you saw in the previous leaks, and in these renders, of course, along with some upgraded internals as well. Now, that said, I'm not gonna go ahead and relist everything that I've covered in the past episodes in terms of specs. Of course, those have not changed, even with the leaks that were confirmed here by Samsung. So if you want to learn more about some of the stuff that's going to be coming with these tablets, make sure to go ahead and watch the previous Tech News episodes that I've already dropped. And also, if you don't want to miss out on any new information in regards to Tech News and Samsung and all that good stuff, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss out. And also share if you know anyone who would be interested in watching. Anyway, so even though I've already listed all of that, I still want to go ahead and emphasize the fact that this new upcoming Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 series will be boasting Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy chipsets, right? And I think many of us already knew that. I just can't wait to see the wonders that this particular chipset will do on these tablets, because as you know, on the Galaxy S23, it is just a massive beast. Finally, of course, this is another exciting part, the Z series. Now, we've seen a major boom in the world of foldables, specifically in the world of flip phones. So this particular segment of foldables has definitely seen a lot of changes, given that those are relatively affordable, you know, with things like the drop of the Oppo Find N2 Flip, and as recently as the newest Motorola Razr line, right? And they look impressive in design for sure. Now that said, from previous leaks and from previous sources, we got a glimpse of what to expect with this upcoming Samsung foldable, especially if they wanted to match what the competition is bringing out there. And Samsung did just that, right? So it went out there to try to match what the competition is putting out. And I can say that it is confirmed that the Z Flip 5 will have that large cover display that we saw, or that we were hoping to see, just like it was in the first renders that we saw, the initial leaks, right? So that external display will be standing at 3.4 inches compared to the old 1.9 inches that we saw in the previous gen, which already wasn't bad. I do anticipate that this will be a bit more functional than what we had before. And this is actually larger than what we saw with the Oppo Find N2 Flip, right? So that's a nice response there from Samsung. We will also see a 12 megapixel selfie camera and a 12 megapixel dual camera setup for the main camera on the Z Flip. It's also going to be fast charge capable, so it's going to support fast charge at up to 25 watt with a 3700 milliamp battery size, right? So it doesn't look like that one increases. Let's just see what battery management is like with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 here on this particular phone. You also get a 6.7 inches AMOLED display that supports 120 hertz refresh rate. Of course, I'm talking about the inside display there. Now, the Galaxy Fold, as I mentioned earlier, is going to see a blue variant, and I don't know why. For some reason, that's one of the things that really gets me excited about this particular model. But anyway, so this massive leak of Samsung here shows that we have a blue color. It might actually be their flagship color, but we'll see. And I gotta admit, it's not too bad. If I have to go for one of them, then I probably go for the blue one. And with all that being said, the color is not really Samsung's biggest problem. I think the hardest sell for Samsung is going to be trying to convince people that the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5 is different from the Z Fold 4, which by the way it is, but it's just going to be hard to convince the average buyer, although not a lot of average people are buying it out there, but it's going to be hard to convince average people that it's not the same phone, because the Z Flip 5, the upcoming Z Flip 5, is drastically different when compared to the previous gen, to, you know, its predecessor. But the Z Fold, on the other hand, is only seeing somewhat of a subtle physical upgrade, right? Although the specs, again, will tell a different story. I mean, but let's be frank, you know, most people prefer for the physical capability of the physical aspect or the physical looks of the device to tell the story, as opposed to, you know, the specs in there. A lot of people assume that it's going to be a good phone anyway, so they would like to see something a bit more drastic, a bit more different on the outside. Again, we do have some changes, right? Including, for example, the hinge, right? So the hinge has been upgraded on the Fold 5 here, and is said to be even more firm than previously. Additionally, the phone itself closes even flatter than before, as you can see here in these renders and these pictures from Samsung. So the body just seems thinner overall, right? It just seems to be a thinner phone overall because it closes flat and the gap has been diminished by a lot. Some additional specs found on this upcoming Fold 5 will include, of course, different placement for the LED flash when compared to what we have on the current model. We have a 12 megapixel selfie camera and 4 megapixel under the display, which is a second selfie camera. The main camera module will include a 50 megapixel wide, another 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 10 megapixel telephoto. You still have support for S Pen. That fast charge at up to 45 watt is also back, and 120 hertz refresh rate is still supported on both the front and the inside display there, so that's always nice to see. You have 12 gigs of RAM and a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, so the same stuff that we will see on the Z Flip 5, on the upcoming Z Flip 5. So as far as the platform goes, they are both the same. So pretty exciting things to look forward to there. And I think this should do it for this edition of Tech News. Of course, I will have more on the next episode, meaning I will stay updated so that you stay updated. Up until that next episode, of course, as always, stay safe out there.